Man, when you're doing welfare checks, probably the scariest thing you could run into would be like a crazy old coot. And guess what we're going to find today? Hi everyone, welcome to today's badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. It's a doozy. I'm your host, John Correa.
And I'm your budding crazy old coot, Mike Williver. Today's video comes to us from Austin, Texas.
Lucky Gunner is my recommended trusted provider of freedom seeds for range or defensive use. In stock, good prices, and rocket fast shipping are why I go back again and again. Because of new guidelines, I can't link their site or say it, but you're smart and you can find it with a simple Google search. Stick it to the man by paying them a visit today. Officers have been called here by a neighbor for a welfare check, and that neighbor says that the house has been dark, the air conditioning's not running, the lights are not on for months, and he hasn't had any packages delivered, he hasn't seen him outside, and it has been months and months. So these officers are going to come by for a welfare check. Let's watch what happens.
God dang, that's like kicking a wall. Austin Police!
What? Austin Police, you in there?
Please.
Oh,
Are you there?
Yeah. Oh, good.
Whoa! 63's in the back. We gotta go with them. Hey! Drop the gun! I think he went back in the house. No, I can't see him. Did he go back in the house? He was in the front yard when I fired. He's in that brush. I can't see him from this angle. Hey, did I hit him? Austin Police!
What? Austin Police. You in there?
Yeah, please.
Oh,
Are you there?
Yeah. Whoa, whoa. Gun. Whoa. Whoa. It's a police department. Did he go? Van Buren, do you see him? Hey! He's on the porch with a shotgun. Oh, God! Shots fired. Do you see him? Get back inside the house. I can't tell. Yeah, he was standing on his porch when he started shooting. I've been shot.
Watch our dude there put a couple of rounds through the door of the neighbor's house, not towards the officers, but just towards the neighbors. Then he ends up going back in the house. The one officer who was hit, thankfully, wasn't hit badly. They got him out of there and got him treated for the gunshot wound from our homeowner. They had SWAT show up, call him out, and then eventually he was hit by gunfire too by one of the officer's rounds. They took him into custody. If you go read the news stories that I've linked in the description, he was recently found incompetent to stand trial and committed to a psychiatric facility for no more than 120 days. So he's not criminally liable for what he has done here because he was mentally incompetent to understand that what he had done was wrong. Thankfully, none of the officers were hurt badly in this case. The neighbor said he never would have called the cops if he knew this was going to happen. We hear that stupidity all the time. Maybe we'll mention it in the lessons. Mike, when you become a full-on crazy old coot, though, would you not chase cops around with shotguns?
Yeah, I'll be at Cracker Barrel all day, every day. I mean, that's what we do as old crazy old coots.
There you go. So, Mike, I feel like we gotta start by talking about the welfare check. And there's gonna be people in the comments so mad about this, but this is an important community caretaking function of police. That the neighbor says, I haven't seen him in months, the air conditioning's not running, the lights are not on, haven't seen him outside, no packages delivered, haven't seen him leave the house to get food or anything. And my guess is these officers are probably expecting to find a deceased person inside. So I know people are going to be frustrated that they kick in his door, but they can't probably just go, we didn't see anything and left, because that then violates that community caretaking function.
Two things I want to talk about here, John, real quick. One is the law. The other is the officer's intentions and their aims and what they were trying to do on this call. I don't know what conversations they had with a supervisor. I don't know what conversations they had maybe with an assistant district attorney. Said, hey, this is what we've got. We've got the overgrown grass. We have the place is dark. No one's seen him for months and months, and we're concerned for his welfare. And they gave him the green light to say, okay, that maybe that happened, maybe it didn't. I have no idea. But I think the officer's intention here is what should be important to his supervisors, to the community at large. Was his intention to violate this person's Fourth Amendment rights? I really don't think so. I don't think you can really argue that. It doesn't make any sense. Why would he break into this house for any other reason other than he's worried this person is either deceased or in need of medical attention or trapped under something heavy or whatever the case might be? I think the officers here acted in good faith. And for me, that's kind of as far as I need to take it. I don't think they were intentionally trampling on the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. I think they were concerned. And, you know, if the neighbors didn't feel comfortable going and knocking on the door, or maybe they knocked on it, didn't answer, I don't know. The police are here now. They're going to do whatever they have to do to make sure this person isn't in some sort of jeopardy, medical condition, or deceased. So, I think their intentions were pretty clear and pretty pure. They weren't trying to do anything nefarious. They were just trying to make sure this person was okay.
And they identified themselves. So eventually when, they kicked the door in, maybe they could have knocked on the door a little longer, banged on the door, rang the doorbell a whole bunch, and seen if that did anything. But once they saw a guy, they did identify themselves as police and did so pretty well. So I agree with you, Mike. I think intentions really matter here. And I think their intention is if somebody's in there and is in a medical emergency, we need to do something about that. A good reminder to all of us that, 3-inch case hardened screws on your door is good because this guy kicked that door in with about 2-3 kicks. And I certainly think I want my front door to withstand a little bit more than that. 3-inch case hardened screws through all of the, the plates will do that in a big hurry. I want to say here, just a tactical thing before our guy shows up. I think our officer does a really good job here. You see the difference between a handheld light and a pistol mounted light. A pistol mounted light may be the right choice. He may want a pistol in his hand in case he runs across something really weird here. But you notice that gun is pointed down. His gun is not what's causing that big spot. His gun is pointed down, so he's using the spill from his pistol-mounted light to see what's going on outside, whereas the handheld light of the other officer, the detective, is what is pointing into the house. And that's a really good use and shows a good bit of training.
Yeah, and I think some people will question my previous statement about their intentions by saying, well, if he was just going to check on someone, why did he have a gun out? Because he has no idea what's inside of there, right? He's not aiming the gun at anybody. This is not completely unlike a video that we did twice. The second time Neil joined us for, where there was a sheriff's deputy at a door for, I think it was some kind of alarm call. And the guy comes through the door of his house with a gun in his hand, ends up getting shot through the window, the front window, something like that. This is not unlike that. However, what we don't know is if the reason for him being unable to answer the door all this time is that a crazy person broke into his house and is holding him hostage in the basement and now, is answering the door with a gun or an axe in their hand. They don't know what they're walking into. So I don't disagree with having a firearm out. I will say this. Their reaction when they realize he has a gun is not bang, 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 right? It's not just to start shooting wildly because they realize, hey, this could be the owner. He could be suffering from dementia. Maybe he doesn't know what's going on or whatever. And so they kind of skedaddle. I don't hate that because of the fact that, yeah, it could be an older guy with dementia. It turns out it was a person suffering from a mental episode as the judge determined at the end of the case. So I think for them to not fire in this instance was just fine. I think they had an idea that's what they were dealing with, and it turns out they were right.
They were right. And I like that they boogied out of there. Okay, wait a minute. This is probably the homeowner at that point. And if the homeowner just stays in the home, now again, this man is not mentally competent to understand what he did here, okay? But if he'd have stayed in the home, we'd have probably had a big misunderstanding and the police replaced his door jamb. That's probably what happens here. But instead, he comes out of the house and continues to fire rounds, and that's a pretty serious issue, obviously. Now, I want to see what this officer with this detective is doing, and he's getting some rounds and shooting a couple of rounds at the guy. I want to note something, just a little detail that I see him do here in the midst of all this, and it's a small thing because he's kind of looking, is the guy around? I can't quite see him. I can't see what's going on, and right here, he stops to adjust the brightness on his pistol-mounted optic. I would say, officers, please hear me. Again, not the end of the world here, but I don't love the auto-adjust features on pistol-mounted optics, so how I have mine set is that I can see it in bright sunlight, and then I just accept the fact that it's going to bloom at night. And I look through my non-dominant eye and use my non-dominant eye to see downrange, and if I have some bloom, accept the bloom. Now, I guess if you have time, you can turn it down. But what happens if you end up going into the house and there's a bright area? You're going to be in real trouble. You won't be able to see a dot at all if you get into the place on the porch where there's some brightness. So I'd just leave it and accept the bloom on that. And that's as somebody who teaches a lot of red dot, has a lot of rounds through a pistol mounted optic. I like green personally, and I like a circle only personally. Those are personal issues. Go over to Active Self Protection Extra if you want to get some more lessons on the use of a pistol mounted optic. Obviously, adjusting your pistol mounted optic in the middle of a gunfight is a little bit suboptimal, but the bigger issue here, Mike, I really want to say is he kind of gets stuck in no man's land here, and we talk about being the hunter, not the rabbit, but he's kind of exhibiting a little bit of prey behavior here.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true, and I don't want to be too hard on him. He's trying to do the right thing here. He's trying to get this thing handled as quickly as possible, as safely as possible. But I was the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, man, you got to find some cover. There's got to be a tree or a car or something you can get behind and stay behind and be able to observe this guy. Because right now, I don't know if maybe there's something to the left we can't see on the badge cam, but I don't think so. I don't think there was anything there. And I'm just, in my mind, I'm screaming, please get to cover. Please find some cover. Because realize at this point, this guy's got a shotgun. It doesn't have to be particularly accurate to hit you with one of those if he's assuming he's running buckshot, double out buck, or birdshot or whatever. He doesn't have to be particularly accurate to catch you with some of those pellets in those rounds. So it's critical to find some cover. Look for cover, obviously, before you walk up to a house. This is a training point, but as you're approaching a house for any kind of call or a business, doesn't matter, whatever structure it is, before you knock on the door, identify cover, and that cover might be a curb, it might be a fire hydrant or whatever. Try to identify that in advance so you don't have to think about it and seek it out when things go bad like they did in this instance. And as far as the adjusting the dot, I'm not an expert on dot sights on guns. I will say this: if you feel it's absolutely necessary to adjust the brightness, don't do it until you get behind solid cover and you're sure that you're safe from being shot for the moment.
Now, here's the other big problem. The second officer, what we see him here, he's the one who sees the gun. Good for him calling it out for his partner. Really good communication there. Then he runs off and gets to this other garage. Now, my big challenge here, when we talk about the mindset, I'm going to be the hunter, not the prey. You see the officer, he's going to duck back here. He can't see. So here's the problem is that our perp is going to come over and shoot him. And when we are hiding, when we're playing that cat and mouse, right? So in the cat and mouse game, the cat is the hunter, the mouse is the prey. And when the mouse hides, eventually the cat can find that mouse, and now what? And this is what that problem is with saying, no, I'm just going to hide here behind cover. If you're not actively looking for, nope, I am going to be the one here that if we have contact, I'm going to handle that contact. And paying that attention, that's that hunter mindset. I'm not telling you to be an aggressor. I'm not telling you to be overly aggressive, but rather than hiding, you have to be proactively looking for work, because the fact that he wasn't proactively looking for work here, Mike, he was just waiting around to see what somebody else did, and it ended up getting him shot.
Yeah, and I would add another thing to that. If you're at this distance, he's across the street, he's, quarter block away, maybe 50, 60 yards. I'm totally guessing. I don't know. I'm not good at estimating that sort of thing. I think light discipline is critical. You're not going to light him up from where he is with that light. All you're doing is telling the bad guy, here I am, shoot in this general direction with your shotgun. So I think light discipline is critical. It's something that if you're not doing force on force training with your agency in low light, by the way, as well, this is something it's not intuitive. You have to practice it. So if you're not doing the training in low light, force on force stuff with sim guns or even just with blue guns or whatever, just teaching that light discipline is critical. That light coming on is just telling the bad guy, here I am, shoot in this general direction.
Now, if you go read the news story, I kind of have one or really two final points here. Number one, go read the news story, and this next door neighbor, who's the guy who called the cops, our perp here shoots through his door twice. Shoots into his house twice, completely unbidden. I mean, there's no threat from that guy at all. Again, he was found not mentally competent to stand trial. And that neighbor, though, said, man, I got to gather my kids up. I loaded the guns in my house, and I realized, oh, no, what have I done, and where are we, and am I going to have to shoot this guy? But I think he did one thing really, really well, and that is he did not go out and confront the guy. Barricade your family in the safe room. Load your guns in case he comes in the front door, but don't go out and confront him. That was a really good choice, and good for him for that, and having some defensive firearms in the house is a really good thing. As far as the not mentally competent to stand trial, I'm just going to say, listen, I'll trust that the psychiatric team that looked at him recognized he can't acknowledge, he doesn't have the ability to understand that what he did was wrong and that his actions were wrong that day. And knowing the mental health challenges that so many people face, I get it. And I'm glad that in the end of this, nobody was seriously harmed. We do wish the officer who was shot a full and complete recovery. Let's think about some of our, prey drive versus hunter drive here, because that might have been a way that this one ended a little bit different, and the officers were better able to cover their asp.